Hello, everyone, and welcome to this amazing episode of Think and Grow Rich, the Legacy Podcast Show. We are here with an incredible, successful entrepreneur, a guy by the name of Shin. And so without any further ado, I hope you've got your paper and your pen out ready to take some notes as Shin gives you guys some stuff to apply to your business. So Shin, thanks for coming into our studio today.
Thank you for the opportunity of having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, I've known you for a while, so but the people that are listening don't know you. But tell us how you got to become an entrepreneur, because I'm sure you've done other things prior to getting to where you are today.
Do you have like 5 hours?
Yeah, exactly. That's what everybody says. You give us like the 2-minute version, if you would.
Okay, originally from Israel, came here to the United States for the American dream.
Yep.
I really thought that the American dream is what? Education, right? Mm-hmm. So I went and pursued a little bit of computer studies. Quickly realized that it's not going to be my field because I graduated right at the fall of the high tech, so I never got a chance to work at the field that I thought that I will be studying for, right? And one thing led to another, and start working in different jobs, obviously trying to make a buck and making sure that I still put food on the table. I'm not here by myself. I'm not married, I don't have kids, but not yet anyway.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And you're an inspiration, you and your family, to me. But obviously I do have a responsibility to my elderlies, right, to my mom. And coming here, I just needed to continue working and put a food on the table. And I worked in many areas. I worked in sales, I worked in management, in the car industry. I worked in tourism as a self-employed. Quickly realized that there is a lot of liability involved. Mm-hmm. And I looked into what can I be as an entrepreneur? What can I be that can provide business to myself, but without the liability? Mm-hmm. And a friend basically introduced me to the financial services industry going on 14 years ago. And I quickly realized that English is my second language. Yes, I am from another country, but if I can learn this and I apply it to both myself and as I'm learning it, maybe educate others, I can be successful and have a business. And I quickly realized that if I will listen and have the right mentorships in my life, and yes, mentorships is, as you know, very important because if you come in from a family that hasn't been having success for a long time, you want to have somebody that can mentor you to do have success in the future.
Sure. So
I wanted to make sure that I have that, and I obviously got exposed to many, many mentors, including yourself, for the 14 years that we've known each other. Mm-hmm.
Has it been that long already?
It's been that long,
wow,
yes.
Okay.
And I'm very thankful for you and for the education that I learned from you as well.
Sure, yeah.
That's basically it. One thing led to another, and here we are today. Mm-hmm.
What, as an entrepreneur, so how old were you when you came to the United States from Israel?
23.
So you spent a good chunk of your upbringing, obviously almost all your upbringing, in Israel.
Right.
So how do you go from being in Israel, right, coming to a foreign country, and then saying, oh, I want to start a business? You know, I mean, how did that come about? You know, I mean, you did everything else, but you did go and get a job to put food on the table and to survive. But where did it click to finally go, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur now?
When I quickly realized that I can hit the ceiling every time. So every job that I had, I quickly got to the glass ceiling that is there, right? I was able to get to the top of my ability as a salesperson or the top of my ability as a manager or whatever the case may be. But I wasn't able to replace my boss's job, right? Mm-hmm. He needed to die, quote unquote, or quit for me to have his job. And I quickly realized that in order for me to have a successful life and be able to have control for my own life, I have to have my own business and be an entrepreneur in this country. Mm-hmm. So that's when the switch happened. And it was a switch, but with a small transition. When I was a tour guide, I was self-employed for a company that was in existence. So they allowed me to have a business within their business. But obviously the liability was still on me. So I quickly realized, let me walk away from liability and find a business and entrepreneurship that can have everything but without a liability.
Okay, great. Now, when you switched over to entrepreneurship, and becoming an independent, away from a guaranteed type job or income source, what was your family supportive of you doing that?
Well, let me stop you right there because I was never working on a base salary. I never worked for a quote unquote an hourly wage or.
So even when you came to the United States, you went straight to an independent contractor.
Yes.
So
my first job was, I don't know if I should say that, but do you remember that tiny little store called Radio Shack?
Yeah.
I worked there and right here across the road in
so
Agora Hills.
Radio Shack actually paid you as a 1099?
Yes.
No kidding.
I was working on a commission because they did have a minimum wage of back then $6 an hour.
Yeah.
But I realized quickly that can never pay my bills, right? So I was making more sales of computers and phones and all the different things that they offered. I was making more sales as a salesperson, and my commission obviously crunched their minimum salary. So I never counted on that. I always believed that I should have control of my own life by providing my own and not somebody's wage. So
what are some things? Give me 5 things that an entrepreneur should do in terms of starting their business or growing their business.
The first one for me, John, is persistence. The 8th principle of the book Think and Grow Rich. I applied it multiple times in my life, and I quickly realized that when I do apply persistency in my life, and I focus on that persistency, I do achieve more. So I believe that will be the number one for me. But I also know, working with you and listening to your events, which I attended as well, that burning desire should be number one, right? So what drove me to have a persistency is that burning desire to be successful in one area or another, right? So when I came to the financial services industry, my burning desire was to learn it. First and foremost, to learn it, right? Because I never knew what the concept of the different products that the financial services industry offer, and I needed to learn it for myself.
Sure.
So when I applied that to myself, I had that burning desire to learn it for myself, and then when I master it, I can offer it to others. So that's two points. You said 5. Wow. Faith. I believe that you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself and believe that you can achieve it, that you can be there for yourself and your family, that you can go after it and be successful in any area that you master in your life, which is that probably number 4 would be master the area and have a specialized knowledge in the area that you want to be successful in. And number 5 is just have that gut feeling. Have that gut feeling and that trust with the people around you that you'll do well, and from there you can just conquer the world.
The 6th sense, as Napoleon Hill calls it, right?
Yes.
That gut telling you to do something.
Yes.
You know what GUT stands for, right?
Educate me.
Guts, GUTS stands for Great Urge to Succeed. That's what it means.
That's right.
Got to have some cojones.
Yes.
All right. Well, so what is, you said something about success, like, you need to, I wanted to be successful. What does success mean to Shai?
That's a deep question, John. Success means, sorry for being a little bit emotional, because there is an image of a person very important in my life crossing right in front of my eyes right now. But success means making my mom proud. I don't know if that means a lot to the audience that see this podcast right now, but for me is to be able to know that my mom is proud, and knowing that yourself included, your parents are proud of you, right? You're from another ethnicity, right? So coming from another country yourself, your success was very important to be able to be a product of proudness to your parents, right? Goes the same way for me. Coming from another country, it's very, very important that my mom will see that whole sacrifice that we made coming from another country was worth it, right? And to put a life at ease for her and make her proud, and knowing that she can say my son is doing very well for himself and for us, that's what success means to me.
Is your mom's supportive of your business now, I'm assuming?
Very, very much so.
So that she's got to be happy with, the sacrifice she made to come to this country,
Yes, she did.
right?
Yes.
Well, that's great. So let me ask you, if I were to ask you if there were 3 good books that entrepreneurs should read, what would you recommend to them?
The first one, I was introduced to a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And as English is my second language, and I'm sure that here in the United States we have diversity, and there is a lot of people from all walks of life and from many diversities that probably English is their second language as well. I would say is, if you cannot read the book in English, find out to download the book in audio and listen to it, right? Or find out if that book is available in your language, right? And read it in your own comfort language. So I was able to do that in both 2 of the following 3 books that I will tell you. So How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, I was able to both read it in English, listen to it in the audio while I'm reading it. So I was enforcing what I was reading, right? And also I heard it later in Hebrew, right? And then I did the same thing for the book Think and Grow Rich. I came across that book about 14 years ago. And, I'll be honest with you. Unlike How to Win Friends and Influence People, I was drawn to that book right away. But with Think and Grow Rich, I wasn't drawn right away. I needed to have the right timing for it. And only about a year or 2 years later, when I reached back to that book, I was able to draw into it as well, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it takes timing, or it takes self-development in yourself. Or maybe when I read the first book, that kind of prepared me for the second book, right? So the idea was I was ready for it on the second time that I came across it. And I start again. I downloaded it, the audio. And I bought the book in Hebrew as well. And I was reading it in English and forcing it in Hebrew when I'm reading it in Hebrew, but also listening to it while I'm reading it to enforce it.
Sure.
So those are 2 books, and the third book is yours. I bought that book immediately when it came. I was actually one of the pre-orders, and I was very honored to get that. And
awesome.
I read a couple of the very, very instinctive pages for me in it, and I took it to heart, and that's my next book that I'm reading right now.
Awesome. That's great. Now, what's on your radar for the next 3 to 5 years? What are your plans and what are your goals?
Achieving more success in my business, obviously, to be able to be financially independent, to be able to travel the world. I'm sure you know, I just came back from 5 different countries about 4 months ago. And the fun part is that part of education is traveling across the world is education. Learning about different cultures and learning about different people and their history and all that. That's education by itself. So I love traveling. I want to be independent, financially independent, so I can do more of the traveling. And what else? And to be able to also, if I may also add that because of the exposure to the foundation, right? I was exposed to Don Green and to Mr. Satish Verma, and to yourself. Thank you, obviously, for those introductions.
Sure.
And I was able to inquire a licensing for the Think and Grow Rich in Israel.
Oh, that's great.
So now, in the next 3 to 5 years, hopefully one of my goals is to be able to have that title and to have that education in Israel as well. So that will be very, very successful there.
What are you going to do with Think and Grow Rich in Israel? What are your plans?
The plan is to learn and to educate, actually, what I learned from Satish and from yourself, to be able to bring those education to the people there. I saw a lot of value just by reading your book and by reading the Think and Grow Rich book is one level. But when Satish and you educated on that book on different levels, that put a lot of depth into the book as well. Depths that I wasn't able to pick up just by reading the books.
Sure.
So I believe the education needs to be there, and that's what my intention is, to be able to bring yourself and Satish and to be able to educate those principles over there as well.
Awesome, awesome. When you see entrepreneurs fail or not succeed, what do you think the top 3 reasons are that causes people to fail in business?
The first one is they give up. You know me for 14 years, John, and I never gave up. You know that doll in the gym that you punch? It's called Bob, right? It's acronym for something.
Okay.
The thing is, when you punch it, it usually comes right back at you, right? And even the whole idea is that you need to apply a massive force to knock it down and for it to never come back, right? And in my life and in my experiences in business has been that I've been knocked to the floor many, many times, but I always found myself coming right back up and never give up. So for those individuals that you're asking, I would say do not give up, never quit, always persist. That's number 2. Always persist for your goals and make sure that you have it focused in front of you. And that's it. It's just never give up and don't quit.
You have a third one?
A third one. I guess persistency, like I said, just keep being persistent.
So that was number 2. So the first one was don't give up. Number 2 was persist or persistence.
Okay.
What's a third reason that you think people fail in business?
They don't see that they can do it. They don't believe in themselves. And I always believed in myself. My mom believed in me. I always had family or friends like yourself believed in me. And yeah, always believed in yourself.
So let's just say there are people right now who don't believe in themselves. You believed in yourself, but there's a lot of people who don't believe in themselves. What would you tell them? What do they got to do to start having more belief in themselves?
You know, that's a very tough question, John, because I think it's a personality thing. It's something that, I don't know if it's true to say that, but maybe somebody is born with that. Maybe some individuals are just born with that sense that they can do it and that they can believe in themselves. But
so on that note, then, if you're not born with it, do you have any chance of becoming successful? What do you think?
I do believe you can. But like you said, is what can I tell those individuals to believe in themselves? And I would say, pick up a good book. First and foremost, have a self-development in yourself. Pick up a good book. Learn something that maybe you were not able to learn previously, right? Be able to put yourself in a level that is maybe outside of your comfort level. And then when you are in that outside of that comfort level and you feel comfortable at that level, then you'll be able to say, okay, now I feel comfortable here, I believe in myself here, and then you start building a developing habit of believing in yourself.
So developing habits will inevitably lead you to where you want to get to.
Exactly.
And helping you build up your self-esteem, your self-worth, your confidence, and everything else, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, anything else that you want to add to these entrepreneurs? Any final thoughts or words?
Never quit. I said that.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself. Elevate your self-esteem. Elevate your confidence. Achieve more. Go after your dreams, after your goals. Do it for yourselves. Do it for your families. Because there is a sentence that I once heard, and it's very, very deep. Is the people in your life can wait any longer for you to be successful.
It's deep.
It's very deep.
Yeah.
And when I heard that a few years ago, I quickly realized that I should hurry up, right?
Sense of urgency.
Sense of urgency.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I would say sense of urgency is the next advice, yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, Shai, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for the
opportunity. We know
opportunity.
your time is valuable. And for those of you that are entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, listen, you got to keep on listening, keep on learning, keep on reading, and get to events and expand your market, right? You got to start networking and meeting people. Today, we gave you some nuggets. Hopefully, you'll apply what Shai has shared with you. Make sure you click the link below to get Shai's contact information. And I also would appreciate if you would subscribe and make a comment and like what we've shared with you here today. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to talking to you again soon. And we're going to be sharing some amazing more content and tools to help your business grow. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.